Hi, I'm Fynnion, and this is the Dead by Daylight Alphabet Challenge. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Dead by Daylight content I make on my channel. It's not really welcome back to anything, because this is the introduction video to a challenge that I've talked about in my Baby Killer series, which is the Dead by Daylight Alphabet Challenge, or the ABC Challenge, but I'll just call it the Dead by Daylight Alphabet Challenge. What is the Dead by Daylight Alphabet Challenge? Well, it is mostly done from the killer side, and it is when you go through every letter of the alphabet, taking a killer that also starts with the same letter, equipping perks, add-ons, and offerings that also start with the same letters, and getting a win. Now, what is a win? Now, I consider a win a 4K or a 3K with one escape, so long as the escape didn't happen after every generator has been completed. So, a 4K, a 3K with a hatch escape or a gate escape after hatch has been closed. That's a win for me. Sometimes I would even consider, like, well, rare cases, I would consider a 5-gen completed 3-kill a win, but that really depends on the game. So by rule of thumb, a 4K or a 3K with a quote-unquote hatch/gate standoff escape is fine. Now, that's what I consider a win, and that's the goal of achieving this with the killers. Now, of course, at the moment we have 30 killers in Dead by Daylight, and there's 26 letters in the alphabet. I hope that's correct. So some killers might not get used. And coincidentally, we also have letters in the alphabet which aren't corresponding to any killer names yet. So, how do we choose the killers? Now, obviously for A, it's pretty easy. We look for a killer that has A in their name, in their title: the Trickster, the Twins, the Blight, the Cenobite. Who do we have? The Artist. Now, the Artist is obviously a killer that starts with A. So we're going to run the Artist first. And then we take a look at perks. And then we take a look at perks that start with A. A Nurse's Calling, Agitation, Awakened Awareness. Those are the only 3 perks in the entirety of DBD right now that start with A, on the killer side. Sorry, there's a bunch more survivor perks that start with A. And then we look at the killer's add-ons. Do we have any that start with A? And in the case of the Artist, we do have one add-on that starts with A. It's the Automatic Drawing. And then we take a look at offerings. Which offerings do we have that start with an A? Right off the bat, we have Azeroth's Key. And then a bit further down the line, we have the Annotated Blueprint. Now, I'm obviously in a custom game right now, and in the custom game, there's no Bloodpoint offerings, but we do have the Ardent Shrike, the Devout Shrikes, and a bunch of different Shrikes. And those are like at the bottom of the list. So Azeroth's Key and Annotated Blueprints takes a step for them, so they are prioritized. But if there's no other offerings that start with that letter, I can, for instance, use one of the Bloodpoint offerings, depending on if the letter fits. But now, like I said, we have letters in the alphabet which don't have any killers, for instance. For instance, we take a look at F. We have no killer that starts with the letter F. So the next step, going away from the titles, is going to the names of the killers. For instance, the Huntress's name is Anna. So for instance, if we didn't have a killer that started with A, we could look to play Anna, because her real name, quote-unquote, starts with A. But we're looking for a killer that starts with F. Now, there is 2 that I can think of, like, off the top of my head, and that is Frank and Freddy Krueger. So, for instance, for F, we would choose either Frank from the Legion, in which case we would have to play with Frank's cosmetic from the Legion, or we take Freddy, and then we take F perks. Simple as that. That's the whole idea of the challenge. I have already laid out for myself which killers I want to play at which point, which perks I'm gonna run on them, so I will know which ones to run. But of course there are letters. For instance, the first one that we're gonna encounter is gonna be the letter I. Now we have no killer that starts their title, like their synonym, whatever you call it, with an I. And there's also no killer that has a I as the dominant letter in either their first name or their surname. So I decided to look which killers I haven't used when mapping out the challenge, and just filled it in with a killer to run the perks and add-ons on. And for instance, for I will be running Doctor. And coincidentally, Doctor has a pretty good amount of synergy with a bunch of the I perks that we have. I didn't predict it really, I just took what I had and I went with it. For instance, there's a bunch of I perks. We have I'm All Ears, Infectious Fright, Insidious, Iron Grasp, and Iron Maiden. Now, I won't be running Insidious, so I'll be running I'm All Ears, Infectious Fright, Iron Grasp, and Iron Maiden. Unique perks on their own, but where his add-ons shine is really with the Iridescent King and the Queen, which we can run. And then also the Interview Tape, which is also one of his more unique add-ons, which we might consider running. And then for offerings, we would have the Icoria's Loam, which is for the new map, or even the Ivory Memento Mori. And that's how we're going to go down the list, and we're going to do this episode by episode, letter by letter. And in the next video, which you'll find in the playlist or in the info card on the top right, probably more likely in the playlist, is going to be our first killer, which is going to be the Artist. Now, as you can see, if you've watched my Baby Killer series, I don't have all the killers on Prestige 10 yet. I was working on just going down the line. What I realized, it was going to take a long while before I got to the end. And probably by the time I got to the end and got the knight to Prestige 10, the next killer would have probably released as well. And I would have told myself, you're going to get him to Prestige 10 as well, right? So I decided I'm going to get the Artist to Prestige 10, do the episode, get the Blight to Prestige 10, do the episode for the letter B, and so on, using the blood points I earn from trying to get a win on these killers to prepare the next one. Obviously, because I want to have the offerings and the add-ons I need for this challenge. I can't really do it without the add-ons. For instance, if we take a look at my Artist right now, and we take a look at the offerings, you'll see that I don't have a Azeroth's Key offering. So I wouldn't have the opportunity to run it, which is annoying. But of course, we also have the I would show you real quick the blood point offerings. We have the Ardent Shrike, Spotted Owl, Tanager Wrath, and there's one more which I don't have. We have the Bloody Party Streamers, but like I said, map offerings, even the Oaks, the Regents, the Coins, they take priority over the blood point offerings. So in the D episode, we're probably not going to be running one of the Devout blood point offerings. We're not going to run the Hollow Shell unless there's nothing else we can run. We're not going to run the Raven Wreath, the Shrike Wreath, the Spotted Owl Wreath, the Tanager Wreath unless there's no other option. Oh, I was wrong. Sorry, the Beef Tallow Mixture is the night map. My bad, the Loom is for the Garden of Joy, the Dredge map. I completely got that wrong. Okay, so that's it for the explanation. And maybe the next episode's out already for you. Maybe you'll have to wait a little longer. And I'll see you in the next episode when we take on the letter A.